What's up, Alex?
What up, dude?
Hey, October 11th, 2023. It's 11:22. Jim's out this week. He's
Episode 11?
Episode 11. Yep. Yeah, Jim's out this week. He's in Montana for a wedding, or he's hanging with his buddies, I think, preparing for a wedding. So
yeah, he's going to be the best man at a wedding, which if you look up that term best man, it means best swordsman.
So he's ready.
So he's
Just in
ready.
case.
So he's probably really good with swords.
He's the best archer.
Better than me. I don't know how to do a bow and arrow.
Cool, man. How's your week?
Yeah, man. Good. Yeah, the week went well, except for that Z crash I had yesterday, which is dumb on my part. I should have just checked and made sure that G43 was in the code, but it wasn't, obviously. But so what I did was I had that slotting operation for all 4 blades, and it was already buried into the other, the whole program for that.
Cutting the tabs off.
Yeah. So I was like, let me test it. And then I tested it and I was like, cool. I did it on 1 and I was like, all right, let me just do the last 3 and I'll just start it, mid program. And I was like, yeah, this looks good. You can cycle start and just boom. And I was like, man, but I was more mad that if the tool broke.
One of 2 tools you had or whatever.
Yeah. So it didn't break. So just because it went right into the aluminum pallet.
Nice. Yeah.
And it wasn't full rapid, so it was on 3 still. But I mean, it didn't do any damage, I don't think. I re-measured the Z pallets and it was only off by 0.3, which could also just be heat.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Especially
for what you're doing on the tab removal.
Yeah, and everything that I've read as far as the Z crashes on those machines is not super terrible.
Yeah, it's real robust in Z.
It's those X and Y crashes that you got to worry about. And even then it's if you have a 3/8 end mill is when things start to get hairy, or even a 1/2 inch. I feel like a 1/2 inch one would probably do more damage. But anyway, so yeah. And then today I just kind of was putzing around, drop material off the Nifty bar, get that going, and then just doing a bunch of maintenance stuff. And then I got my engravers in today, so I'm going to start working on that probably tomorrow and then finish up those blades. And I think that's it for the week. How was your week, man? How was the drop?
Dude, it was good. So yeah, we announced that, pressured me. We had some peer pressure last week to do a drop on Saturday. So yeah, I was nervous because things went really well at the show. So I expected him to go pretty well, doing a drop too, but I just had no idea what to expect because I've launched products on my website before and they just freaking sit, for forever. Yeah. Nobody buys anything. It's depending on what it is, but obviously the knives are a little bit different story. So, I brought my laptop and, I usually just keep it in the shop, but I brought it in the house and my wife and I were in there and we were making some food and, had it open. I had, Shopify open and then you can see the live map, the world map. How many people are currently viewing. And there was 3 or 4 people sitting in there for 30 minutes before they just had it open. I doubt they're just sitting there waiting, but you see that. And then I did the drop at 12 noon Pacific and right maybe 2 or 3 minutes before there was a spike in people. And then you see the map, all these dots going on the map and then another spike and another spike. And there was I think 60 people on the website within the last 30 seconds. Yeah. And then the way that I scheduled it was I had all of the products just hidden and they were scheduled to drop or go live on Shopify automatically at noon. But I'd never done that before. So I was all kind of nervous, fuck, what if they just don't, they don't come up at the right time or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had my phone open also, and I was refreshing the page on my phone to make sure that the products would actually launch. And I wasn't looking at the computer right when it hit noon, but my wife, she had her phone out and everything. And she did a little video of it. And so I started just right away, 12 o'clock, boom, emails. I got all the notifications on my phone. And by the time I saw that and looked back to the computer, they were gone. Yeah. So it was literally less than 10 seconds. The knives were all gone. And then a bunch of the coins went right away. And then a couple of the coins went over the next half hour or so. Nice. And then I just turned everything off. So I sold all 5 knives. I think I would have done quite a bit more because there was a lot of people that messaged fuck, I got cart sniped. So
Yeah, you're gonna get those messages too, and and
I
that's the
know,
thing is
yeah. Shopify
even
screwed
though
me. Like,
right, yeah, and even though you had a lower quantity, I feel like again, like you said, if you had way more quantity, it would have done the same exact thing. Like it would have been seconds, it would have been sold out. So, but
considering there was like 60 people on there at one point, I mean,
right,
I think
right,
everybody in there was trying to get something, I would imagine. I mean, there's times where I'll get on stuff and the hype of getting in a drop and seeing what's
mm-hmm.
there, and then I just end up not buying anything anyways, even though
Yep,
I already got it quick enough. But
mm-hmm.
sometimes I just
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. But
But I think
yeah, I think I
yeah,
would have done some more.
and I think those exercises, I guess, even though you're selling stuff, it's not really an exercise. It's like actual business. I think those things are, it just continually gets you that next boost of like, all right, got to keep going. All right, now we got to make, 10 more. Now we got to make 20 more. And it's going to keep
Yeah, it
piling
was
on
a
and get more stressful, but it's going to be stress in a good way, if that makes sense.
yeah, it was a good motivator too. Also for my
Yeah.
wife too, and because she really
Yeah.
got to see the action because she wasn't at the show.
Right.
So for her to see like how quickly that went, she got all hyped on it. She's like, "Fuck, get back out there! There's 5 more
Yep.
sitting in the shop." So I was out here
Yeah.
actually till like 1 last night working on those. So I have most of them together. I got to find one of the blades. I don't know where the hell it went. So I have 4 that I'm probably gonna. I have 4 that I'm probably gonna try and drop on Saturday. I have them
Nice.
all together. I have one of them. There was one that I brought to the show that I didn't end up selling.
Mm-hmm.
There was some kind of gremlin in the pivot where it wasn't, the blade wasn't staying straight, but I think the pivot was just too long.
Right.
So the bearings just weren't preloading the blade at all. So
Mm-hmm.
I shortened up the pivot and it seems to be good now. So that one's good. So I have that one, and then I have a couple that I put together with Ultim, and those
Mm-hmm.
look pretty good. So I might
Nice.
do those. I'm contemplating if I want to just auction those or if I want to just put them up. But either
How many
way,
of those do
again,
you got?
I put together 2. I made 3 sets of frames, but one of them had some little issues.
I would
But the
auction
Ultim
them.
is the Ultim's so soft. I'm probably only going to do one with Ultim,
Yeah.
just on the show side. I did it with the show and the lock side, but because it has that, there's a tie lock bar insert in there.
Right.
The lock bar, even though it's super thin, it's bending both of the Ultim frames. It's basically curving both of the Ultim
Oh,
frames, and then
wow.
it looks like the blade centering is off because they're so soft.
Right.
So I'm probably only going to do one as a show side, just a single show
Yeah.
side with Ultim,
That's.
and just do one of them. I had a bunch of that material that I got from my buddy Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got him I was going to do some slingshot inlays out of that stuff, but I ended up just saw cutting some and made some frames out of it when I was already set up for that stuff. So
Nice.
I think I'm just going to do one of those and then do the rest of them tie. And I have one that's blasted right now, same finish as the last drop and the ones I did at the show. And then the other ones are all just burnished. Everything's kind of bright. So I'm probably going to just do, I think, 3 of those. One of the Ultim ones and then one of the blasted. So I got to figure out how I'm going to list that stuff. If I'm just going to do different listings or just have drop downs for each finish on there. Whatever's going to be easiest for people to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do like a separate listing for every single knife on the website because that's just
it's a huge pain in the dick.
It's going to be super annoying. I don't want to take that many photos, and doing one product with one photo for 10 different knives that are all the same is hard enough as it is doing that stuff by myself. So I really don't want to have listings for every single one. Plus, I think you have to go to a higher tier on Shopify if you have that many products and stuff too. But I don't want to mess with that stuff too much.
Yeah.
Drop downs are easy, and I could always change those real simple, and the links stay the same and all that. So
yep.
That's kind of the next couple of days. I was out here till like 1 last night, got those all built up. Started using the 2x72 a lot more to rough the grinds in, or rough the edges in, because I was sitting with the wicked edge and I was sharpening from fucking 20 thou pre-sharpened edge. It took forever, so I just hit him on the grinder, and it was like rolled a nice little burr over, and then I just cleaned him up on the wicked edge. And it was fast. Went from like a half hour each to like a 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I got to do that. I got to get the attachment for my for my grinder. They make like Ameribraid makes like a sharpening attachment.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna rough stuff in and then finish it on this Edge Pro.
On theirs, you run the wheel or the blade backward, or the belt backwards, right? When you use that sharpening attachment.
Could you say that one more time? I like lost you for a second.
Yeah, it froze up for a second. When you use their sharpening attachment, you run the belt backwards, right?
I think they recommend it, but my machine doesn't run in the backwards. I could probably rewire that VFD to do that though. I
Your
don't know.
VFD doesn't have a switch on it? Are you?
It
Is it
it's
single
one of
phase in,
their
three phase out?
it's single phase in, three phase out, yes. But when
Yeah,
they
so you should be able to
first
put a
sold
switch.
those, when they
Uh-huh.
first sold those, they didn't wire it to go backwards.
No,
So I
no.
think I just need to add a switch and wire it to go backwards, and I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's all you need because
It's just
you just need to
a
swap two
toggle.
legs basically. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's easy. Switch will do that easy.
yeah.
Yeah, because does their attachment has a tracking wheel on the bottom then, right?
Top.
Well, your 2x72 has one on the top, but when you run in reverse, I think you need a second tracking wheel on the bottom to track before you hit to the actual platinum wheels.
Oh yeah,
Theirs
maybe I do
might.
need
I'm not
that.
sure if theirs does. I haven't looked at it in a while, but
I'll double
the
check.
tracking gets all messed up because the tracking's before all the wheels, essentially right before the wheel
Right.
or right before
Yes.
the platinum. So you may need to add a second tracking. I think theirs has it.
I
I
think
would
it does
imagine.
too.
So yeah, I
Yeah, I
need
gotta
to
check.
because I got my grinder all good. I still need to have spring on it for the tension. I've just been bumping up. I crank the arm up and I just smack the arm up till it's tight. Then I just smack it down and pull the blade off. So I have a spring. It's just sitting here. I just got to drill a hole and put it on. But yeah, I got to get a spring. I got to build my platen for it, like the work rest and all that. So, and
Oh
then
yeah, yeah.
I got to make it to where I can flip it 90. Doing horizontal stuff is like the main reason why I want to have it.
Yeah, mine's
So,
nice for that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I
it's
was
cool.
doing actually. Like, so before I started slotting the tabs on the blades, I would take the blades off after bevel grinding and engraving, and then grind every tab off like manually. It took forever. So
Taking like a
now
half
all I
inch
need to
off.
do
Yeah.
is like take a 10 thou off and then tumble it and then finish the rest. So like this is what the blade looks like now. Much
Mhm.
better. Like I'm not getting that rounding on the tip. And then like this part's kind of like polished up because I take it to a deburring wheel after the fact. So I
Nice.
finish with I think 120 grit. I could finish a little higher, but I go to that or convolute wheel or whatever the hell you want to call it, and then clean it up. But yeah, it looks good now.
Nice.
So
It's like an EXL deburring wheel or whatever.
yeah, I just
Yeah, those are
actually get
nice.
those from Haas because the
Yeah.
3M ones are insanely priced now, and the Haas ones are like $20.
Dude, everything on they're blowing a lot of holders and stuff out too. I mean, most of their stuff is imported, but um, yeah, we were talking about the CBN grinding stuff, and I was looking on their website because they got an email for they're blowing out holders right now. They're like $42 for a face mill holder.
Yeah,
So I
it's
have them in a
nuts.
cart. I need to get oil for this anyways too. So I'm already getting a low oil arm on this thing. So I got to order that refill can and then or the jug and then probably throw one of those holders in. I'd rather go Mari, but for $42 on a kind of
Yeah,
a experimental process. I don't want to
yeah,
throw
exactly.
a couple $100 down on a Mari one right now. I got their
Yeah,
shirt on though, so
I actually had theirs on yesterday. I got a TMS titanium shirt though. I'm gonna be rocking that
yeah.
thing. Hell yeah,
Surprised you
man.
had to buy that thing, man. They should have sold it or they should have shipped it to you
I
for how much shit you
I
buy.
asked them and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, all right. They already sent me a
And
bunch
they
of
get like
stickers and stuff. I got a shitload of stickers and I got a banner from them for free too.
nice.
Yeah.
I gotta throw one of those up in here. I need to get some more flags and stuff. I got them all over the garage door, but yeah. So yeah, what else you up to this week? You're pretty much you said you're almost done for the week, huh?
I'm almost done for the week. I got all the parts almost finished. I just got a few more blades to grind the spines and tumble, and then I got like I think like 16 blades to engrave. That'll be quick, and then I gotta cut all the tabs off on those. Probably do all that tomorrow. And then as far as blades, I'm like done. And then I just gotta get some hardware ordered. So I might do that next week because Steve ships stuff out pretty quick. But you can only
You
order or only ships
yeah,
out
I was
on
just
Wednesday through Friday. So
yeah,
but yeah, other than
nice.
that, like I'm pretty much good to go. Oh, and then the 13th, so Friday, I'm doing the pre-order drop thing. I think I got 65 knives.
Nice.
So yeah, think everything's in good shape. I just wanted to get everything like in a good stance to where I can just like build everything and I'll be in good shape.
Yeah, that'll be
And
good.
then
How's your process right now for assembly? Are you doing a lot of hand fitting or anything, or are you just got everything where it pretty much just fits together?
so with the washers, I was doing a lot of hand fitting and finicky. It was like really, really finicky. But now with the
Mhm.
bearings, everything just kind of slaps together. And the big thing is keeping the blades flat, like helps out a lot, because now when you swap in the washers, everything kind of just is perfect. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, going to bearings was so much easier as far as assembly. Um, I get like the washer flex and all that stuff, like the whole thing about like flexing. Oh, it's everything's super flat and blah blah blah. It's just like I get that, but like, man, at the end of the day, I'd rather assemble a knife with bearings than washers.
Yeah. All my stuff used to be washers. All the knives. I used to do some integrals for a company, and most of the stuff that I was doing, I was trying to do everything on washers. I'm like, fuck, that's the kind of
Yeah,
top tier. Um, but then most people get a knife and they're like, this thing's kind of stiff. Like, yeah, you got to lap them in, break it in a little bit. You're gonna sit on the couch and watch a movie,
yeah,
flicking that thing
yeah.
2,000 times, anyways, man. By the time you're done watching Titanic, it's gonna be broken in.
Right.
So but yeah, it was just kind of annoying, and putting bearings and knives is nice.
Yeah,
Makes it super easy. Plus, everybody wants kind of drop shit, which I think is kind of gay. But
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of cutting my thumb every time I close my knife.
Yeah, that was a big thing with a lot of like earlier days when I was like deciding whether or not bearings or washers. It was just like, I hate the fact that like this blade is now going to slap onto my thumb and just chop it every time. But now it's just like, honestly, ease of assembly is like, that's what we're going for now, to the point
Yeah,
where now I can just literally slap everything together and just tighten the pivot until everything is centered and there's no side to side play and good to go.
nice.
But
Yeah, I'm almost there on mine. I basically have to just put my whole stack together and then measure it and then subtract the head thickness of the screws and shorten that barrel to it, and then I just tighten it up and it's good.
yep.
And everything's pretty centered, so it has to be on mine.
Yeah,
Kind of,
because someone
it's
asked me like,
extremely noticeable. Yeah.
it was funny. I forget who asked me, but like somebody was like, "Oh, when are you going to use like 15 thou washers?" And I'm like, "Well, I used to. However, all of the pivot lengths are way too long, and I did not want to sit there and lap down pivot barrels to get the correct
Yeah.
thickness." So, but yeah, that was some. Oh, and another thing that was on my mind last week, actually, the end of the week, I was just like thinking about the cost of hardware, because I know we talked about this, and like really considering trying to get quotes on a Swiss machine.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
I'm
if you're
actually
dropping 15 to 2,500 bucks a month on hardware, it's like there's a machine
yeah,
payment right there.
and I'm like seriously considering it, because then it's not only going to benefit me, it's not only going to benefit you, it's not only going to benefit Jim, but it's going to benefit a
Yeah.
lot of
Everybody.
guys. Like,
Exactly.
because I know a lot of guys, that's what they do, is they have to lap down pivot barrels. A lot of guys do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so nobody's going to make a pivot barrel that's just shorter. Nobody's going to do that. Because like I asked
Yeah.
for it and like couldn't get it. And
Mm.
like, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, that's an easy enough macro to write on the machine too, where you just throw in a header what the length of the actual barrel is, and all you do is change that dimension, and then everything is done.
Right. Yeah.
So pretty straightforward. Oh, you want 30 of these at 360 and you want 200 at 350? Okay.
Yep.
Set a
Yeah.
counter with a max count and then change the number.
Yep.
Or write a counter. You can have two values on there, and then when the counter gets up, it just automatically swaps to a different value, and then here's your longer one.
Right. Exactly. And I was like,
Just
and I was
segregate
looking
them.
at the part maker software too, and like that's actually not as much money as I thought it was going to be a year. It's still a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
money,
what I
but
used
like,
before. Yeah, it just sucks you can't buy it alone. You have to buy it through like what is it? Feature Cam Ultimate is the only way you
yep.
can get part maker, even if you don't
Yeah.
want to use Feature Cam. Yeah, it's kind of
Yep.
annoying that they bundled it in like that.
I'm going to see if they will cut me a deal and bundle it in on Fusion somehow.
Maybe. Yeah, because you don't even need to install Feature Cam to use part maker.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally not connected to it at all. At least when I did it. So
there's a separate thing.
it's stupid. It's fucking so stupid. I think they bought Delcam. I could be wrong, but I think they bought Delcam to basically take Part Maker and pull out that functionality and put it into Fusion, and then just let Part Maker die, kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of been the MO on most of their
I mean,
software.
they should.
But
They should, because like I think that they need to do more a la carte on like 5-axis stuff, and like I don't want the whole 5-axis suite. I just want to be able to run like this one thing, like for instance,
I just want the deburring toolpath.
Yeah, so like for a long time, like I was like paying these tokens for the cut this toolpath, because I was like putting in my, I was milling in my lock face and stuff like that. And for some reason, the geometry that I selected, it would go outside of the boundary and all this other, like tried everything. And so I had to like cut the paths on there until I actually changed the geometry of the actual feature. And like somebody contacted me from Autodesk. It was like, oh, do you want to buy our whole suite? And I was like, no, I literally just need this one thing. I wish you just offered this one thing that I could buy. She's like, yeah, we don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, but you should.
Trust me. I would have bought that a long time ago.
Because like 9,000 people would buy Deburr toolpath right now. And like, you would make money on that. Instead, you're going to charge them all of this other stuff that they don't need. That's what I hate about
or just not.
All of this stuff in the industry is just like, call for quote or email for quote. Shut up. I don't want to do that,
dude. Yeah.
Just let me buy the thing.
Looking. Yeah. I'm just going to keep looking for somebody's website that has a price on it so I can just buy it. And then you're not even going to get the business.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Sales stuff sucks.
But yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to seriously start considering like a Swiss machine. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be cool. They're nice. And like we were talking about last week too, you just need a small one.
Yeah. I think a Star, so a Star SR10, and they have a 10J out too, which is even a little bit smaller. So I'm going to look at those, because I think max diameter is close to, it's a little over 10 millimeter. You can go with that.
Yeah, you can usually go a little oversized.
I'm not making,
enough for most knife stuff.
I'm not making a pen, guys. I'm not making a flashlight. So relax.
Yeah.
I don't need anything bigger than that.
Make a 3/8 diameter head screw.
I literally just want to make a screw.
Yeah. There you go. Skills.
I think
I'm trying to
10 millimeter would be larger than 3/8.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Yeah, it's 393.7. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think all my screws, all the ones that I get, they're like 373 diameter for the pivot side, and then for the pocket clip side, they're 248 or like 2,000 undersized. They're a little tight on some. But I think another 1,000 or so smaller would be nice. Not really noticeable in a 375 or 250 counterbore.
Yeah.
So pretty good. Yeah, I'm trying to open up your blade files right now. It's fucking taking forever.
Oh yeah, so
my internet
Boise
sucks
grind. The Boise grind.
Boise grind. I think that's kind of the topic for the week right here. At least that's kind of been in my forefront of my mind.
Yeah, so we're 23 minutes in, so let's talk Boise grind. If people don't know what a Boise grind is, it's it's the
way
grind
everybody in Boise, Idaho is grinding.
It's the grind that everyone in Boise uses, minus a few people. But I also think talked about it with Jim last time after the show was that CRK. I don't know if they use the cup wheel. They might be using a surface grinder.
So I watched one of their old tour videos when Chris still worked there. I don't know all the details with that. I heard so many conflicting stories about kind of his departure, but I've always been kind of curious what the actual story is. But one of the videos is a two-part series.
I'll tell you after the show. But all
right,
he retired.
I kind of heard some things too. Yeah, that's what the official story is. But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. The video that he was in still, it was a two-part video on YouTube. I don't think it was the one that Blade HQ did. I don't remember what it was, but that was a surface grinder. Yeah. And they were using a 10-inch wheel on a surface grinder. So they were getting like a 5-inch radius on there. And he went through all the sketches and he showed all the geometry and, the thinnest sections, 100th thou back and all that. So, but you look at their latest knives, they're for sure a cup wheel. That's not a surface grinder. There's no way.
Unless switched.
unless they're using a CNC surface grinder and their blades are tipped up on an angle. But the way that you can tell, you look at somebody's knife and you can tell they're using a cup wheel or some sort of like, round.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
There's a very distinct arc on most guys' knives that are using cup wheels. And some of that you can mitigate with programming and toolpath, like sketch geometry and stuff. Where's yours at? I have all my stuff open. Yours is still loading. I brought your models in forever ago from my phone. I just extracted from the email on my phone and then brought them into the Fusion app, but then they don't actually create a Fusion file from that. So it's been converting this into a Fusion file for like the last 10 minutes.
Damn.
My internet sucks in the garage, but yeah. So, I reached out to a couple wheel manufacturers yesterday. I heard back this morning from one of them. He's going to give me a quote, some details about like specific bond style and recommended grip or grit. From what it sounds like, most guys are trying to get down around in like the 40s to 50 grit CBN wheels. Wheel diameter, I want to try and use a small wheel, but in order to get the geometry that I want in my plunge, I have to go with a 6-inch wheel. If I went bigger, my plunge would look even more like I want, but I think it looks pretty good right now. Going any smaller, it starts to get a little bit.
I think I'm going to go smaller just
that it's a wheel.
Just because I'm a baby, I think. But also, you heard it here first. I want to do slip joints. So a smaller wheel would probably benefit me if I did slip joints.
Why? Just because it's a smaller knife?
Yeah, like it's small. Yeah, the height is
the smaller height.
Yeah. But if it makes more sense in the way it's modeled, because I know when you were modeling yours, you kind of were like messing with the diameter of the wheel, and you could see like how much of a radius it put on it versus big and small wheels. So I don't know.
There's a few different things you can play with on it to get that. I think also pivoting the blade around the pivot itself will adjust the way that, if your blade's laying flat. That's probably where that missing blade is. It's probably over here because I think I had it when I was showing you guys some stuff on the video. I lost one of those datum blades, one out of the 15. She's gone.
Because I also I'm trying to think about like when we talked about before is like when you're tipping yours up, you're going to get a degree of hollow on the blade. Now I've been told, well, not been told. I've been asked by a lot of people to come up with a hollowed blade. So that may still be an option, but I do like the way the other guys are doing it is tipping it up on this side. If you can see like this way.
Yeah.
And doing a flat. But again, I guess the best way is the way that works where you don't have to do anything by hand,
Yeah.
I think I put in enough time grinding that I'm just like, all right, I'm over it at this point, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you should just hand grind them all. And I'm like, really? Hand grind 60 blades? And then you guys also want more? So it's like,
I've always kind of been the opposite. Jim was talking about that, where he's said he subscribes to that kind of belief of like the soul of the knife being in the grind in the primary. I've been kind of the opposite, where the primary is just a big ass chamfer.
Right.
No different than like anything else.
And I see where he's coming from too, because like I thought that for a long time as well. But then I'm also thinking like, well, the CNC is just another tool, like a surface, like a 2x72 is a tool in your shop. So like, if you can utilize that to get what you're trying to achieve, like I understand putting in more handwork, but also I think people need to understand that like if you want more of these things, then you have to take a lot of human element out of it and let the machine do a lot of the bulk of the work. Yeah,
for sure. I do enjoy using my grinder. I've been on it a lot more lately. Like we were talking about, just sharpening and satin finishing, like the coins and all different things. And I do enjoy the process of just being at a grinder and kind of just playing with it. But I don't want to build that into the process of like a major feature that's going to be a big time suck. I like using it kind of as a finish tool, either like complete opposites, where it's either just roughing, like breaking edges on saw cut stock, where I'm just roughing shit in, or fine finish, satin finishing if there's something that I need to get rid of a tool path or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to personally develop a process around relying on using the grinder for like a major detail or something like that. So just because I know that I don't want to stand there and do it. It's any process like that is going to become a bottleneck for me if I have to stand there and do it.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Jim and I have talked about that. Like,
mm-hmm. And like cleaning
I'm
up
the bottleneck
spines.
in the shop for sure.
Exactly. And like the human's always going to be the bottleneck. So like cleaning up the spines is like, that's a new bottleneck now. And like actually, doing the lock faces is like a bottleneck. Like I need to either hire somebody or just take time to design / make the lock grinding jig that I wanted to make, and just dial that into where I can just set it and forget it and just, okay, now we're grinding lock faces and no longer need to test fit everything,
Exactly. Yeah.
Once you grind in one, then they're all going to be good. But
yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I was sweating doing lock faces, and I was sweating doing detents. So I ended up just machining them. Sorry, I'm trying to upload these files of your blade right now too. There they go. It opened up multiple instances of Fusion, and everything is just taking a shit now. And I think I hopefully didn't just close that. Oh, shit. Okay, thankfully I didn't close Riverside. I almost accidentally closed this out of this whole thing. Yeah, it's uploading the models now. I can open them up unless you want me to do it on mine, or we can play with yours a little bit on here. Yeah, so I just machined the lock faces and machined the detents, and thankfully everything just worked out exactly as I planned, and they snapped together, and I'm like, cool, I don't have to mess with these now. It's just done. Even though the cycle time's like an extra few minutes, I'd rather take an extra few minutes in the mill than mess with it after the fact. And it's like, shit, still have to do that. Like,
a few minutes in the mill could save you hours, like outside of doing it.
Exactly.
It's like, I know there's some lock faces that I've ground. It's taken me, some take a minute, some take 5-10 minutes, and it's just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, depends on how many times you have to assemble it and disassemble it and everything.
And then like even people are like, oh, you should do it on a surface grinder because that's what everyone else does. And it's like, even still, like you're standing in front of the surface grinder grinding all of those lock faces. Like people don't understand it takes a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you got to sit there and feed it back and forth. Even if you have a hydraulic surface grinder or something automated, you still got to stand there and load them and make sure they're loaded correctly and all that. It's annoying. Yeah, I want to try to minimize, or not. I want to try to eliminate as much process as possible. That was one thing that Pearson and Andrew Henry were talking about. I mean, may have mentioned it. I don't remember if we were recording or not, but they were talking about like lean improvements. It's not so much like how efficient can you make something. It's always going to be more efficient if you just don't have to do it at all.
Right. Yeah.
Like just literally eliminate this entire step. So that's kind of where I'm at with all this stuff.
Yeah. That tab cutting saved me days.
Yeah.
Like it would have taken me 2 days to grind all of those to where I needed them. Now it saves me literally days. Nice. I mean, the tool's kind of expensive. I could probably find a different tool that's cheaper, but like, I mean, also the fact that I'm running coolant on it doesn't help either. Cause I think if I do an air blast, tool life would be double.
Yeah. Run it dry.
I need
just run it straight dry.
But I need to get all that stuff figured out to get the chips out of the area and all that stuff. So that's another.
Yeah, you're not cutting that much, but you could easily add an airline in your machine. I mean, even if you just ran a straight airline up through the casting, there's room on the side of that.
Yeah.
You can make a little block, or even get the one from TDC or wherever.
Yeah, I was probably going to.
You could even get a lock line. You could do a magnetic lock line in there if you want, and just run the lock line, because the pressure's, you're not going to have like a lot of pressure at the nozzle. You just want a lot of volume kind of to.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You might need some pressure, but you can just magnet lock line up on the casting itself and then run a push to connect fitting up out, and then you just go into a solenoid. You have that solenoid for your tool set or air blast, right?
Yeah.
They already installed that?
No, they didn't. I have to install it, so I haven't done it yet.
God, dude, that office sucks, dude. That's the worst Yamas there is.
Yeah,
dude.
that's like I was literally gonna take a day and like figure out, or I gotta call the guy and like he's gonna walk me through it. But then I was just like, if I get another machine or something, I just have them come out here and just do it. Because I asked them, I
just
was like,
do it.
"Hey, are you going to send a guy out to like finish the job?" And they're like, "Well, it's going to cost $1,500." And I was just like, "Well, why?"
No, this was part of the install that you guys
Yeah,
never finished, man.
yeah.
This should be on the
So
house. Sorry,
I don't know.
not
I'll
your
get to
fault.
it at some point, but also I think I'm going to just grab another solenoid and then have
They're
Air
cheap.
Blast installed and just do everything and just have it be an M code or whatever.
Yeah, it's easy enough. Yeah, if you want me to help you, I can walk you through all that stuff too.
I think I just need all the
Orange
parts.
Coast. Yeah, there's a spot in Brea here in Brea, California. It's called Orange Coast Pneumatics. They have all that SMC stuff. I think I have part numbers and stuff, so they're cheap too. It's like I was going to add Air Blast on the Haas. I still want to do it, but I was looking at the solenoids that Haas uses, and they're like $160, and they're custom order. They're all like 8 weeks out. So I called them, and they're like, "Oh no, we have a comparable solenoid that's exact same voltage. It's identical. It's just not a custom order, and it's like $35, and we have like 70 of them in stock."
Because that's one thing I want to do is like I wanted to do through spindle Air Blast because my machine's set up for a coolant, but like I'm never gonna use the through coolant. Like I don't drill deep enough holes unless I'm cup wheel grinding. I guess
that's your Boise grinding.
But I could use an Air Blast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could. You might need the coolant though. I think you're gonna.
But you might need the coolant. Probably need the coolant.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Either way, I need to get an Air Blast in there because like even now I'm like hard milling a lot of stuff and like the coolant is like it's not too bad on tool life, but like I know I can get higher tool life if I had an Air Blast in there.
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable going to air
because then coolant. You're relying more on the coating of the tool instead of it just wearing away.
Yeah, that, and you're not thermally shocking it as much. Just let it stay hot.
Yeah.
So not that coolant's like making it cold, but compared to it. So yeah, it makes a pretty big difference. Like when I was cutting off all these tabs and doing I did all the hard mill stuff on this thing's dry. I just let the chips pile up because they're so small. And occasionally, if there was some retract move in there and I was standing at the machine, I could stop it and blast it out. But Air Blast would be nice. I already have the airlines and everything ran on this. I just need the solenoid for that. Haas has that like auto Air Blast. It's literally just like a small little linear actuator, and then they run a nozzle at the tip of it.
Yep.
And I found those. It's a Parker part number, and they're like $40 at a local spot. So I might just order that versus $1,200 or whatever from Haas. So
yeah.
Dude, it's all that shit. All these distributors just fucking kill everybody. Like Haas has the second home position. You can just push a button on this. It's literally just the side of the control. I don't know. I think you can see it. My view is all cut off, but there's a button. There's a spot for a button right here. Haas charges like $998 or whatever for like the second home position. It's $22 at McMaster, and you literally just plug it into the back of the control. So there's a lot of stupid stuff like that. Spindle speed override on the Speedios. It's like $18 from Alibaba or $1,000 from
Wait,
Amazon.
what?
Yeah, spindle speed override. Do you have that on your machine?
Yeah, I have the thing, but I don't have like the turning knob.
Yeah, you just need a knob. That's literally all it is a knob.
That's it. There's no like. I don't need it.
It's a knob with a little pigtail and a plug on the back, and you just plug it in. So like if you buy that option, you don't have to turn it on or anything. They literally just open up they take the screws off the control. You hinge it out. It's on a hinge, and they just push the plug out. You stick that thing on there. You tighten the little thing in the back, and you plug it into the control, and it's done.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's retarded. Yeah. It's like, why doesn't that shit just come on this machine? It's fucking so stupid, dude.
I need that part number because I'm going to do that because I want to get the spindle override crank. Yeah, I didn't buy that option. So like,
yeah, because it's $1,000.
You're just paying for a knob.
Yep. It's retarded.
I'm so mad right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's other
annoying.
Because I'm sure
everybody
there's other
wants
options.
them, dude. If you just bought 100 of them and sold them in the Facebook group for $50, people would buy them.
I'm going to do that. No, I'm not.
Think about how many Speedios are out there. Yeah,
I'm just going to tell it. I'm just going to tell everyone that part number exists, and like, I'm so mad.
Yeah, somebody posted it. I think in the Facebook.
I'm not mad at Yamazin. I'm just mad at that office.
Yeah, Yamazin out here is cool. This is I think the only good office out here. Well, West Coast in general.
Because I think I was going to also probably purchase that submicron thing, even though I don't need it. I think it's just a cool thing to have, an extra zero.
It's nice. And the only drawback is you get rid of the conversational part of the control, which sucks and nobody uses anyways.
That's fine. I'm okay with
Like,
that.
why
I'll
would
use
anybody
that.
use conversational controlling anyways? Yeah.
All these things, all these tips and tricks of the like, because I love this machine, but it's just like I feel like I'm getting nickeled and dimed. And then when I talk to somebody in a higher up position, they're like, "Oh no, you can get whatever you want. Like we'll accommodate that." And I'm like, "Really?" Because like these guys are telling me I can't.
Yeah,
And
because
they're
they
like,
want the sale
"Really?"
today because they need that
Yeah,
commission. Yeah.
they're like, "Really?" Because like I talked to my tooling guy about that, or my tooling rep, and I was like, "Let me ask you this question." And I asked him, he's like, "Yeah, it's because the guy wants his commission check immediately, and he doesn't want to wait."
Yeah,
And
they
I'm
got a
like, "Are you?
quota. Yeah, if they don't sell 2 machines a month or whatever, they get fired. Yeah, it's fucking
What
stupid, dude.
the hell?" Whatever.
Yeah,
It was funny because like my sales guy actually for the machine called me yesterday, and I sort of saw it. I was busy, but like I also was like, I don't want to talk to you right now because I'm still upset.
Mm.
It's like I'm in a relationship, and I'm just like I'm so upset at you right now because you lied to me.
Yeah,
Like, why is this happening?
it's stupid,
Anyway,
dude.
all the behind the
Yeah,
scenes that nobody gets to see, you get to see it here, folks.
there we go, man. I don't care. Yeah,
All this,
shit.
yeah.
I have your blade open finally. I guess we can kind of play with this if you want to kind of mess with some Boise grind stuff today, or I don't know.
Yeah,
It's tough. We only, I
let's
mean,
do.
it's already like
We
40
got
something minutes in. It's
yeah, but we
hard.
got
Jim,
time.
yeah, I feel like Jim, like
Listen, we
he
got
has
time.
a very like, yeah, we got time. I don't actually have
If
physical time today. I have shit to do, but
listen, we might go
I'm
over
down.
today. If nobody cares,
Yeah,
we're good. But
yeah,
like Jim does have a hard deadline. I understand why he's doing it, but like today was like kind of like a it wasn't an F off day. It was like I had a lot of stuff that I had to do, and like I was waiting on tooling, and like yeah, we got time.
yeah. I do.
We're good.
I do have to pack these knives today. I was hoping to ship them yesterday. I feel like I've had like pneumonia. I'm pretty sure I got like a really bad pneumonia, COVID, for the past couple weeks. I've just been feeling like absolute shit, coughing. Today's the first day that I haven't really actually been feeling like death. So, not too bad right now, but yeah, Aaron, I'll just share the screen right here and we can just kind of play with yours. I have your blade is open. That's cool, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. But yeah,
Just don't share the tolerances or anything. I don't want people to steal stuff.
Yeah, I do. I actually have some parts I got to make today on the mill too. So I got 10 parts, kind of job shop stuff.
That's what I should have. That's what I should have done. Not
why...
that you need more job shop shit on your plate, as I should have just sent you a bunch of material to make a bunch of my pallets for me. Because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's if you asked me like 4 months ago what I wanted to do every day, I'm like, did I want to do job shop stuff? That shit's cool. I want to do a different job every day and just keep cranking and shipping every day. And like, I don't want to do any of that shit anymore. I don't want to do any of it, dude. I just literally want to just work on my own stuff and play Call of Duty. So, all right, man. This is sharing now, right? Yeah, you can see this thing.
Yes. Real quick, speaking of video games, so I bought my oldest, he's 4, a Nintendo Switch. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
I have it. I bought a Switch for Hudson.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
So like,
yeah,
so I also did this for my son, but like, and then I realized like, yeah, I don't really want to play video games because I like will doom scroll on my phone with random shit, and then I'll look up like machining videos and stuff. So anyway, so we mainly bought them like truck simulator games, and like I'm actually addicted to it now.
Yeah.
So I've just been going on missions and like making him a bunch of money so we can buy a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, what kind of truck do you want to buy? And he's like, this. I'm like, cool. So I'll go on missions and I'll just, make like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in these missions, and like, just so we can like stack up money and like buy a bunch of trucks and stuff. And like, that's what I
nice.
Like. But anyway,
have you seen the Mario Kart game for it?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. That's going to happen.
I got those. So I bought all that stuff the same day. I got a Switch and I bought a Mario and a Luigi car. And then Hudson was young. He was like fucking 2 years old, 2.5 years old. He was big enough to kind of play with it, but he would get frustrated if he couldn't drive through the gates. But now he's totally cool with all that stuff. So, but he plays a Switch pretty often. But yeah, I ended up playing Mario 64 on it. And that was like a childhood game that I played all the time.
Oh man.
And it was the first time I actually beat the whole entire game, dude. I got all 120 stars and met Yoshi and did all that shit, dude. So that was every night on the couch for a while, dude, playing that. I love that game. Yeah, switches are tight. So now I just play Call of Duty Mobile on my phone if I'm not in the shop. So yeah, so this thing's sharing right now here. I'm going to jump into this. So I went through this whole process on my blade, and there was a few things that looking back now, I'm like, I could have made that way easier doing it. So like I have this, so there's two blades in here. There's two bodies. There's the one with no primary on it. And then there's this like kind of final one with block face and everything on it. So I have them overlaid on here really. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to I'm going to create a new component for this. And then this is just going to be blade blank. I need to get a quieter keyboard and mouse. I know when I listen back to some of the recordings, like it's really loud. I can hear like Riverside mutes some of this. Like it cut out most of like playing with your knife and cutting out like most of the sounds from the keyboards and mouse. But
dude, no, anyways, man, you need a mechanical keyboard. You need one so loud that's like
that's what I got, dude. I got the DOS keyboard. It's fucking loud, dude. The only thing that I don't like about it is it's wired. But yeah, Logitech has a new mechanical keyboard that's actually silent. And their new MX Master 3S or whatever the latest mouse they have is silent too. I got the MX Master. I think this is the original one.
Oh yeah, I got one of those.
It's nice. I love all their stuff.
MX Anywhere.
Yeah, I hit up Logitech to see if they wanted to sponsor the podcast, and they never wrote back.
They said fuck no.
We don't like knives.
We're not a knife company.
Yeah.
We're not knife.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a lingering cough from being sick, so hopefully this isn't too annoying to listen to. Yeah, so what I did last time was on my blade is I tried to position the blade first with a joint, and then I modeled the fixture around it. But I think if we do the fixture first and set the angle on the fixture first, I think if we make this first and then we just tie the angle into the profile of this thing, then from there we can just joint the blade onto that, and then all we have to do is just adjust the angle of the fixture. I'll just make it really shallow. Yeah. I'll just make it really shallow for now. But I'm just going to stick it in here. And you were saying you just wanted to have like kind of a shallow.
Yeah, just shallow on this thing. I'm going to be bolting these. I'm going to be bolting these shits onto a thing because, like, I think I'm going to have to profile the back of them. Well, no. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to profile something at an angle.
So are you thinking you want to lay them kind of flat, like not? I guess it is still kind of Boise grind, but you want to lay yours flat though, and then just tip the edge up, right? A little bit. You want to try and do that first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how that is. Do you know offhand what your primary angle is?
No, but I can tell you because I have a.
I mean, I have the model right here, but if you know offhand, then it's a little easier.
Well, I have a goinometer. I think it's like 4 or 5. It looks like 4.
Okay, so 4. That's 4. That's 4 per side, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I believe there's 4. So this is just a simple. I'll even make this thing thinner. It doesn't have to be so big. All these fine-tuned stuff we can mess with later. But yeah, so there's like 3 inch. There's a 1/2 inch here for if we need to put any work offset stuff in here or whatever. But and then I'm just gonna. This is all just gonna be roughed in. Oh shit! Damn, I hate that, dude. I'm gonna start over. So whenever you bring in a step file, it automatically doesn't capture design history. So I had no design history here. I'm just gonna do that over real quick. You ever bring steps in?
Yeah, and then I never like look at design history until I'm like quarter or halfway done, and I'm like, oh, it's never captured anything.
Yeah, awesome. That was a waste of time. Yeah. So at least it didn't get very far. And then
your video shut off for some reason, just to let you know.
My video?
Yeah.
Showing on mine. We have the low data mode, so I think as it's actively recording, some of it like it'll look really blurry if like your internet's going out. It'll look really blurry, but it's still capturing locally. And then that's why we have to stay on for a few minutes after to upload, because it's uploading from your local computer into Riverside.
Gotcha.
And then it compiles all this stuff together. So, all right. So this thing's just like an inch by 3 inch. it's nothing major. So let's just go minus like 5 inches or whatever. And then from here, I'll just put another sketch on this thing. And this is just going to basically be like the location of the pivot. And you're using a 3/16 pivot, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this fixture is probably way too big, but so from here, I'll just stick this. I should actually probably put an edge on here. I try and think about like some of this stuff when I'm actually modeling it, how I'm going to actually pick up the work offsets of stuff, like when you're making the fixture. So like having little features in certain things. Man, what am I doing? I forgot how to use CAD. Depending on how this thing's going to be held. So I'm just going to stick this. I'm trying to think of the best way to pick up this work offset. Probably be on this side, actually, not this side, because this will be an undercut. But if you just surface like a 4-degree angle on here.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell happened here? From here to here, and make these perpendicular. And then we'll just take this thing from here to this. I'm trying to think of like the best way to dimension some of this stuff. I guess it doesn't really matter. This doesn't matter. As long as you just know where this is. I'm just going to put that there. And then trim this off. Just going to fucking kill my dimensions probably. Okay. All right. So there's that. Now, when you pick this up on an angle, like if I were to make this thing, I would probably just stand this thing up in a vise, whatever, just looking straight down on this thing, profile the whole thing, face, and surface this, and then surface this. Just use like a bullnose or half-inch ball or something and just surface these two faces here.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have a hard edge from, you can pull that dimension from here. Now you have a known edge. Like, so when you kick this on a fixture, your back actually, yeah, the bottom has to be flat on this because it needs to kick your blade on an angle. And you need,
so then I would have to kick that at an angle to the machine.
So this would just sit flat either on a fixture or in a vise or whatever because it's already sitting on an angle. But yeah, you'd have to kick it on an angle to do this hole or whatever holes you have into this face.
Right. Okay.
So like just say this one, whatever.
Yeah,
so
I think, and I think I saw a few guys use like I don't know, instead of using like a sign plate or whatever, they used a 3D printed like angle thing and slapped it in there and then use that. I don't know how accurate that is, but
yeah, you can easily, because you got a vise in there, you can even cut jaws too that have this profile in it that just has like a little cradle in it, and you can put that in there. That'll kick your angle. Typically for when I do stuff, if it's real low volume stuff like this, I'll just loosely put it in the vise, like enough to where it won't fall, but I can knock it around, and then I'll just run an indicator across the top and just indicate it all flat. Because you're indicating such a large surface compared to the depth of this hole, your projection error is going to be minimal. If you get this like within a couple tenths across this whole face up here, your perpendicularity error is going to be nothing compared to whatever error you have here because it's so shallow.
Okay.
As long as your location is, because then you're picking off of a known location here, here, and here. So, your Z and your X and your Y or whatever orientation you have it in the mill. If you're putting this down in a vise, you're going to grab on you'd grab on this flat face, grab on this flat face. So you'd pick up your Y here, pick up your Z here, and then you'd pick up your X off of this. And now you have like a 1.5 here and 1 inch there or whatever. I'm just modeling half because for this, you're going to need 2 of these things. And you could either mirror the hole and then you can flip the blade on it and do the same thing on the same fixture, or just mirror the fixture for the other side primary kind of thing,
Yeah.
So from there now, because none of this is tied, I have these two. I have the blank, and then I have the final tied together. I'm just going to create a joint. This is going to have to be off of this side, and then tie it to here, and then flip this, and then it's going to have to be rotated like 90 degrees or whatever. So you can play around a little bit with this angle, which is what I was talking about earlier, which is going to throw off your 4 degree.
Okay.
It's going to throw off your 4 degrees. But at 90, this is going to be straight along the edge, which is going to give you a consistent edge thickness if you're not adjusting your Z height as you're running across.
Right.
Everything's gone. Oh, there it is. I don't know why it just, because it moved the other shit around. I know, what the hell? So I'm just going to throw a joint on this thing. So it's jointed to this. I'm going to flip this thing over just so it's stuck in place. and none of this stuff actually matters at all where this is at. I'm just putting it somewhere known right now so it's not floating around. And that way I'm not using the ground, because you can go in here and you can ground stuff so it doesn't move around freely.
Right.
But it gets kind of messy if you don't have a joint anywhere. So yeah, that thing's that's good right there. I mean, it's essentially flat right there. There's your 4 degrees. We can inspect some of that too, I think, as long as this is flat. So there's a little bit of an angle, 0.08 or 0.8, almost a full degree.
So it's 5 degrees then.
Okay. So on that,
or
we
4.9.
Okay. 4.9. I guess I could just inspect. I can probably just do the inspection here. 3.1151. That's the angle right there.
Get out of here.
3.1.
That's so shallow.
3.1151. All right, so that was in this edit sketch, and then 3.1151. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
1.2. Looks flat. Looks pretty flat, I think.
That's good enough for government work.
Yeah, 0.0027. I think that's good enough for this.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I did from there, so mine was a little bit different because my blades are tipped up so much. So I actually tipped them at this 40. They ended up being 45 degrees at this angle, and then the blades are just straight. They're basically just straight down in the same orientation that they are in the assembled unlocked position. And then so instead of coming flat like you're thinking about doing, I'm thinking about I might have to work my way up depending on coolant. But if you use like a 6A2 or a 12A2, the 6 is like a rectangular wheel. It's just the cup shape is a rectangle. And then the A is the shape of the actual abrasive, which is a rectangle. And then 2 is on the face. So 6A2. And then there's a 12A2, which is the 12 cross section is more of kind of a cup cone. It's a little thinner at the diameter than it is. Like a 6A2 is this, if it's a 2-inch thick in the middle, it's 2 inches thick at the ends. It's just a straight, it looks basically like this. And then it's kind of hollow in the middle. And then a 12A2 kind of has some angle on it, which is kind of nice. But I don't think it really makes any difference for this. But anyways, I modeled it to go down versus up to use a 12A2 or a 6A2 wheel. But I got to make sure that I can get coolant up under the wheel. That's the only concern that I have right now. So right now, this is basically just working its way down. So it's not cutting a lot of material. This is only like, I think about 95 thou or so radially. So you don't need a lot of CBN like width on the wheel. Even like 1/8 inch or 3/16 is pretty common. I think 3/16 is like typically what I see on those. And that's the dimension from like basically flat, this, if I could stop it, that width right there of how much it's cutting off. So anyways, and then it just works its way down. It clips a little bit here on the other blade because they're so close, but I don't think it matters because it's not taking off more than what's going to be removed once the other one cuts. So this is going pretty slow, and then that one does that. So that was just a quick tool path just to make sure that the tool path is good. And I drove that with this body. So I basically created a 90-degree section of the wheel at this point of the blade. And then I made sure that the 6-inch diameter was coincident with where my primary ended on the flat up here. And then also was coincident with the edge of the blade down here. And that's what actually located the wheel in XY on the blade. And then I did a swept profile of that basically quarter of the wheel diameter. and then I swept it up this whole thing, and then that created this solid body. And then I did a trace toolpath selecting off this edge. So that's where my toolpath came from. So it's coming off of 3 different sketches here. So there's the wheel right there. And then I have a plane, I just created an offset plane that was offset from XY plane to like a point on this, which just ended up being the intersection right here. So as this angle changes, that plane stays there, and the plane just moves. The blade's moving around, but the plane's it's staying flat as the blade moves around.
Gotcha.
And then that's swept on this edge right here. And then that was a sketch from this orientation right on the thickness of the edge. And then there's another sketch from the side view that's actually creating the plunge. So it's kind of hard to see, but because I'm in the cam workspace, but there's another sketch here that ends with the other sketch in this orientation, so that they can actually be chained together in the toolpath settings, in the geometry settings. So anyways,
you used an arc for that, right?
Yeah, I had an arc, and then I had this is actually with a spline so that I can tighten some of it up.
That's right.
I typically try to never use splines on anything, mainly on like flat contour work. But in order to get some of this plunge correct, it was kind of, and I would have had to do 2 arcs. I just threw a spline in there just so I could really kind of fine tune everything really easily, but mainly so that it was just one single line. Because if I did 2 arcs, or I did 2 points, or a line and then a radius, it was leaving a whole second surface line in here, which I was trying to avoid. Not for any reason, because you're not going to see it once it's machined, but I just wanted to have a clean surface on here to go off of. And then my original blade, this was the actual original blade with a flat grind on it. So this kind of tighter one, this one here is the flat grind. So standing, in this orientation, basically this way, and then using a 1/2 inch end mill to run around this whole profile. So it's pretty close. I think it'll look pretty nice once the frames are on here. A little bit of a difference up here towards the tip, but I don't think it matters. Again, it's so minimal. I think this hollow looks really good.
Probably a few thou, if that.
It's not much, yeah. I mean, that might be like 40 thou or something from there to there, but it's all inside the frames in the closed position, so that doesn't really matter to me anyways. I mainly wanted all this section right here to stay the same, because so it matched the window, and then this matches kind of the shape of the frames that come in the front right here. But overall, it's pretty similar, and then it's an obvious hollow. I haven't actually measured what the hollow is, but I might take the edge thickness thinner, grinding it. This is at 20 right now, which is kind of thick, but I wanted to leave some meat there for milling, for hard milling. I think grinding them probably take them down to like 8 or 10 or something, so shouldn't be too bad. Excuse me. So yeah, this one's yours. This is pretty much like the orientation of everything. I think in this, doing it like this though, you're gonna have to kind of tip down. You see how the edge of the blade, where is it? It's this edge right here. So the edge of the blade actually falls down in the front in order to maintain that edge thickness. So it's going to have to basically come, radius in here, come flat, and then fall off the edge to maintain that thickness, which is essentially going to create this section being hollow. It's going to be very, very minimal. Like this will all be flat, and then this section is going to end up being a hollow because your blade is essentially on an angle at that point.
I wonder if I could tip. I wonder if you tip it the other way, like if you tip it up,
then you'd get convex here.
Oh, okay, I see that. Right. All right.
Because then your blade would be, because you'd want it to be, you could tip it way up, but then you're not going to get a plunge that's running this way. I think that's why all of them tip down, so that the wheel is actually cutting a radius here and then falling off. For this one here, we could pretty much, what size wheel did you want to use? Do you have anything in mind, like a 4-inch or 3-inch?
3 or 4 inches. I'm not picky.
Yeah, I don't think any of it matters really. I'm going to create an offset plane from this one, and I'm going to just stick this on this point right here. So if this ever moves, because this wasn't exactly flat with all this stuff, I didn't want to sketch on this. And there could be better ways to do this. I'm literally thinking about this thing kind of as I'm going right now. So,
and that's all I'm thinking is like the simplest way possible is like the way my brain works, and like seeing how everyone else does it. It seems that they went a simpler route as well and got like similar results. So that's literally all I'm thinking about. Like, if my brain could comprehend a robust way of doing it, then I probably would go a more robust way. But
yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, we could basically just try this, figure this out, and then adjust as necessary. So this, you want to keep your plunge kind of in the same area too. Do you have a preference on going further back or forward or anything? Because it's going to modify it a little bit.
Let me look. Hang on.
Depending on how this is done.
I can go back about 20 or 30 thou. You could go back with the plunge.
At the bottom, like down here. This episode's probably going to be much better if you watch it. It's going to probably suck if you're listening.
Yeah. I mean, that should be fine like that.
Okay. So I'm just going to start this thing right here, and I'm going to tie it in. I guess it doesn't matter. I should tie it to the pivot, not to that. See if this isn't going to actually tie anything. There, that'll work. So, a little too much. Somewhere around right there is cool?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So there's basically the wheel. You know what? This isn't going to sweep properly on the flat section. I'm trying to think about, you can't sweep. So typically what I did, like, so I created the wheel there, and then I would need to create another sketch anywhere, really. It doesn't matter where it's at. It doesn't have to be off that. I'll put it up here anyway, so I'm going to instruct another plane along the path. Turn this off. Does it need to be here? I don't think this matters where it's at. This plane, but no. Sketch on this plane here. And then what we need is we basically just need line coming up, and then we need some radius to come off where the plunge is. And then this is going to be an arc basically coming down for your edge, right? But it's probably not going to be an actual arc because of how much this thing's kicked. I'm just trying to think about constraining this whole
and also
thing properly.
I probably did my my bevels, like I swept them probably incorrectly, because what happens is like it's thin and then it gets thick and then it gets a little bit thin again.
Yeah. It's thin in the back, thick in the middle, and then thin in the tip.
Mm-hmm.
So
at least, well, when I machine it, it's like still pretty thick at the tip, like comparable.
So I don't know if this is going to actually end up being horizontal with this, because it's not going to be swept. I guess it can be. I'm trying to think of the best way to, if this should just be, like in order to model this, the best way to model it, if this is going to be swept, this isn't going to be that way. It's going to be on the other side.
Because like the way I was thinking about it in my brain was like tilting it on the side like so, and then just going into cam and being like, just face mill this containment area and select just the bevels. And then when it's doing the lead in and lead out, do like you can adjust the radius on the lead in, like lead out, like the arc, yeah. But then you would have to come off further, like you said. So I don't know if you would get that distal taper. You'd probably have to model in that distal taper or you could use a heights tab or something. I don't know. That's the way my brain was working on this whole thing, and like not really deriving the path off of a sketch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we could do it off the sketch pretty easily. This is really annoying. For whatever reason, Fusion's been like, there's no radius constraint here, literally at all. Oh, you know what? It's because it's tangent here. That might be why. No, it shouldn't matter. It should not matter. Will it matter? Anyways, I'm gonna throw this on here. This is just gonna be coincident to that. And then I'll pull this back. So yeah, I was basically thinking something like this. And then that's the center of your plunge right there. I'm just gonna throw a dimension on here, just so it's not floating around. I was basically thinking something to follow it, just a trace tool path with a 4-inch tool like this, and tracing it off of this sketch. So not this one. This one would basically be wheel diameter, and this one would basically be the edge profile. I don't know if it's going to follow this properly though, because the wheel's going to fall off a little bit in this area, but we can just test it real quick. We can just go in here, design, manufacturer. We'll set up a setup. Stock is going to be off of a solid, and that's going to be off this one. This one, which is not over there. Why the hell is it over there? It's not even over there. Sometimes I don't know how to use Fusion. Most of the time.
Yeah, that's me most of the time. I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
And then the model is going to be not that whole thing. This is going to be your model right here. And then none of that stuff matters. None of this stuff matters. Just do Z and then X. And then whatever. I'm just going to stick it right there. It's probably not going to be right there, but who cares? None of that stuff matters. Why is this moved over here? What the heck is going on?
Bro, what are you doing?
This was not jointed earlier. Maybe that's why.
Come on, Fusion.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry, everybody. I'm wasting your time. We're going to get a nice little cutout of viewers on this one, I'm sure. Or not. Or it's going to spike. Okay, so that's in the right spot now. So now we'll go back into manufacturer. So now we got our stock here. We've got our blade here. We've got our fixture that's kicked on an angle like that. And now we just need to turn on this tool path. And then in this setup, whatever, 2D trace and select. So you were thinking like a 4-inch should show. I'm just going to do this as a face mill. Where is it?
Yeah, fuck it. Do a face mill.
Where's the fucking face mill, dude?
We'll figure it out.
I don't have face mill.
Third one in.
It's my first day. 4-inch. Literally none of this stuff matters. And then I just want to basically select this. Follow that. Follow that. That should work. Oh, you know what? This is not going to be. This isn't from the center of the tool. And this doesn't select from the leading edge. So I need to shift all this stuff over 2 inches. That was why I modeled that when I originally modeled mine. I modeled the wheel and then I traced it off the center of it. Because this, I don't think this is going to sweep. So, I mean, I could try it, but I don't think that this profile here, I don't think this profile is going to sweep off of this. It might. What the hell? See? What the heck is that? Because this section's flat. So I don't think you can sweep a flat sketch in a flat plane.
Gotcha.
I think you might be able to do a. It's still not going to do it like that either. I don't think the best way to do this, if there's a way to do it. I can just go like this, dude. I can create a pattern, rectangle pattern. This is like super Mickey Mouse. I don't really like doing this, but will this even do it? No, it won't do it. I got to do it in here.
Can you offset that anyway? Offset it 2 inches?
Yeah, I can just translate this rectangular pattern of this sketch
2 inches.
In this direction. In this direction. So I'm just going to go extend spacing 2, and then I'll just go this minus 2 inches. And then that's it. And then we'll just go off that one. It's basically the same thing. So finish sketch. And then we can just make this one construction line. Now if we go back into manufacture, I'm probably going to have to jump off pretty soon, but there's no 2D trace. And then select. Should be able to do it off this one now. Okay. Heights tab. None of this stuff really matters. Origin. We'll probably have to put this taller. 1.5. V height. Okay. None of that stuff matters. We can fine tune all that stuff later. Center. So this is going off the center. All that stuff should be fine because we're going off the center. If we did left or right, it would just offset it to the left or to the right rather than like
right
front or back, which would make it a lot easier if it did that. But let's see if this works. So now if we turn off our final blade and I guess we could turn them both off because it's going to have the stock in there. This doesn't look like it goes back far enough, but if we simulate this, this is going to follow basically that whole entire thing properly. Just like that. And it's falling off the tip too. So if we turn on our final blade and we make this transparent, so it's not going off enough. And it's not going off enough because it's not cutting at the tip or at the leading edge. It's cutting way down here. So that arc just needs to be modified a little bit unless we move this whole sketch here and then we have a secondary sketch that follows it this way. But we can actually just play around with some of the sketch stuff too. The nice thing is that you're not going to be making like a bunch of different styles of these things. So like you could make one sketch and just dial in that sketch and lock it down. And it should be good enough. So, I mean, for a first pass, it's not too bad. So this one, we just need to make this one, bring that back a little bit more. And then this sketch, this is going to be kind of shitty because it's doing this now. This point. We need to move this. So this is going to basically just have to change like that. And that is moving properly with it. So we'll just have to play around with this a little bit and move this around until it's in a good spot. The nice thing about when I did my sweep, I wouldn't have to go back into cam and then go back into CAD and go back into cam, back, and back and forth a bunch.
You could just see
the sweep change, and then the sweep was done. But yeah, if we regenerate this and then see, so now it's too low. Like we already know that that's going to be way too low because it's got the in-process stock on it. But we can see over here where we're at. So that's a little too far. So if we go back in here, this is probably going to be boring for somebody that actually knows how to use this software.
Like, guys, just do this.
I always hate watching other people do stuff because I'm like, dude, you could have done that so much easier.
All of this right here is like magic to me. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Like I play around with constraints very, very rarely, but like, yeah.
once we get this close, we'll throw some dimensions on this thing, and then it'll actually be
Makes
tied
sense.
down. Because if we don't do that, and then it's just floating around, it's already getting closer. Yeah,
Dude.
if it's just floating around like this, then you go in there and you accidentally drag something, and it's like, oops. I probably should just throw a dimension on this thing actually now. Sketch. I guess I could just stick a radius on this thing too. All right, we'll just make this like 16 inches. So it doesn't matter which one you do when they're tied in a pattern, apparently. So it's getting pretty close. So that only needs to go up like
Boise grind.
a Boise grind. And then back here's pretty close. So this was your original model, and you said you wanted to go back a little further anyways. The top is a lot more, it's bringing it a lot more this way. See that?
Forward.
You see it now? It's a lot more forward,
fine.
but it looks cool though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back in here. We'll drag this up a little bit more. I think this needs to be a little bit bigger now. This is 16. Let's try 17. We got to go bigger on that radius.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. All right, just a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to mess it up too much. Some of this stuff is really graphics quality.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell like how accurate some of this stuff is too. Even when you have your settings set to like the finest possible settings.
So
make this 18 inches.
My question is it going to smash into the fixture?
It shouldn't, but we'll see right now.
Okay.
Because it's going above it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
It's going everything's high enough above.
But it's going to be all right. So when it dips down though, it's going to be outside.
It still should be outside because our sketch is above it.
That's right. Okay.
Actually, no, this is the center of the tool though. So yeah, we'll see right here. Let's just watch it. See what happens. Yeah, it'll hit right there. So it's going to hit wherever that's at. But we can just cut that off on the fixture.
Yeah.
But even if we just surface that off a little bit too, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just making an angle, big chamfer or whatever.
Transparency off. So anyways, that's pretty much it right there. It's dipping. It's got a little bit of hollow. I don't know how well this is going to show up in here, but yeah, see there's some hollow in the front.
That's better for edge stability in the front. So
it should be the same thickness everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, because it's actually going to be a little thicker here. We may need to bring that wheel and have the wheel come in a radius to follow some of this shape here. Because it looks like there's a thicker section in the blade. If we do.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I think it's just my sweep is very, very terrible when I modeled the whole thing. Like for some reason, I don't know if I did the sweep correctly, and it's making a little thicker section.
It's thicker right here, it looks like. But again, some of this, like I said, some of this
could
be simulation
like
stuff
a couple
too,
thou. But like, yeah, it's still a little thicker, and I don't know why or how that happened. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I'm still a Fusion beginner.
Me too.
And I've not gone back and like updated my sweep on that profile at all, even though I should. Also, we are right in within our time constraint too.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
Good. Yeah, we're good, man. This was pretty cool. I mean, something we've been talking about for like the last year. Actually, finally, just kind of mess around with it. There's some fine tuning to do, obviously, on here, but I think overall it's pretty damn close already. If this is the method that you want to do,
it's one of many methods that I want to do. The ultimate method is make enough money to buy the tool that does it.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the black magic. Sorry if anybody wants to keep this stuff a secret. I'm not big on. I'm not big on keeping secrets, dude.
So here's the deal. I think this, and I think you guys touched on this in episode 1 and 2 is like this whole reason this podcast is come to fruition is kind of share a lot of stuff, a lot of sharing. I come from my background, my family is Sicilian. So when you come from a Sicilian, family, everyone kind of eats at the table. There's always room at everyone for the table. And I feel the same way about knowledge. So if you don't know, that's why I say stay hydrated at a lot of the end of what I talk about in my Instagram posts. And that has to do with just like sharing the knowledge and all this other stuff. I think if people keep secrets, it doesn't help anyone.
No.
Certainly doesn't help them. Because when you share this stuff, then somebody else looks at it at a different light, and they're more liable to share the revision that they came up with to kind of help you,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I look at it. And I've already had that happen a few times with people, like sharing ways of doing things better and stuff like that. So, and that's the whole podcast about the Kaizen stuff, is like these guys are sharing, different things to get people's brains kind of moving. Like if they kept all that stuff, abreast, then nobody would benefit.
Everybody's got to just reinvent the wheel every single time. And it's like, that's why I started that thread in that Facebook group. So I started a Facebook group. It's just CNC knife making. And then I ended up finding out right after I launched it, there's another one that Lockwood made from 2017 or so when he was working on a lot of knife stuff. And I think it was CNC knife makers or something. And so I made a post in mine, or the one that I made, about cup wheel grinding. So there's a couple guys that are doing it that jumped in and kind of chiming in. And I've actually been talking to one of them, Cody, quite a bit past few days about it. So I think he's doing a fairly similar style of this, as we're talking about. So he's super open to talking about it. When I talked to Oz and Koenig, and everybody seemed to be pretty open about it. But I think we're on the right track with some of this stuff too. I think once we get a little bit closer and kind of order some wheels and do some stuff, maybe more people might chime in, especially if you post on Instagram and stories and all that stuff. So
yeah, and I think a lot of people really, I guess there's two schools of thought to all this. Is I don't think that your process is the thing that's making you making you money, but in the same vein, I think it does make you money if you're more efficient in your process. So like having a secret way of doing things is not actually making you money unless you patent it or something like that. Whereas like if you had this process and you're like, yep, I'm not sharing it with anyone, it's making me a ton of money, but it's not really, because like it's just making you more efficient. And like if you shared that process with somebody else, they could probably pick out things that aren't making it as efficient and could make it more efficient, thus making you more money and also making them money. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Is like
your audio's cutting out really bad.
Show everyone everything.
Hopefully it's recording.
And like there's often times when guys that are making knives message me and they're like, how did you do this? And if you don't want to share it, you don't have to. And I'm just like, dude, first of all, I'll share everything. If you want to learn all of my heat treat recipes and all this other stuff, I will just share it with you. But we live in this culture where people are like, they're really adamant about secrets. And I don't know where Ken went. So I'm here talking by myself. But anyway, you know what I mean? Is like, looking at you guys, let's share stuff. Let's be more sharing. Sharing means caring. And that's what we're here to do. But yeah.
I think my internet cut out for like the last 3 minutes.
I took care of it, man. I think you guys would be proud of me of taking the show by the reins,
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it's actually continuously recording all this stuff, because it only shows 15 seconds on my end, so we may have lost this whole entire episode. I don't know.
No, it still was recording on my end.
All right, you still have the full time on yours?
I have the full time. We're at 1:29:21, and we're gonna finish. Cool. Our time is gonna be what Jim would be proud of too.
Exactly 1.5.
One and a half.
I was saying earlier about Jim that he's got a very like interview style, like interviewer style. He's got all the questions like ready to go.
He does.
Like when you came on, he had all your questions. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Let's dive into something technical.
This is a free range episode, but we're gonna wrap it up here in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Because I want when Jim listens to it and he's just be like, God damn, we finished right on time.
All right, well tell me when, because I don't have a clock anymore.
Ready? And now we're ending now.